After some time, when my dirty business was done, I returned to the room. And then I realized I'm back in my old flat. However, it's not so old. It seems that nothing had changed during the week of my absence. The dust layers haven't even grown thicker. The keyboard position, monitor incline, and the stain from a cup of tea on the table stung my eyes. Theoretically, a man in my condition should notice such details, but the entire room drew my attention to the most minor of details, as if it was twinkling with different colors. The socks were thrown around in exactly the same manner as they had been before. The blanket sat rumpled on the unmade bed as it was before. The dirty window showed me the same view of the streak like a cracked kinescope. In vain, I tried to become terrified, or at least scared. Maybe it's shock effect, post-traumatic stress disorder or something like that. Probably. After all, several hours ago, I wasn't even thinking of returning to the real world. The pioneer camp, the girls, Elisa, the mythical district center where I would have arrived if I hadn't woken up in my flat, all that had started to seem real to me. Maybe my fantastic vacation to Sovietgames was just a dream. My feet started to rack up circles around the room. I held my hands behind my back and started to think everything over. Only one thing is clear. I have returned as suddenly as I arrived there, without any reason or logic. Maybe there was some sort of explanation, but it's beyond my, or human, comprehension. Whether it was a trick by insular forces, or a supreme mind, or government experiences, I believe the last one to be the least likely. I don't know. I mean, all of those don't seem too likely, but why is the last one the least likely? They left no clues. If I was unable to find answers in the camp, it would be foolish to expect things to become clearer here. It's like searching for evidence in a house that has been burned to ashes. Even if a crime was committed, all the evidence was destroyed by fire. Maybe if I had the skills and equipment of a criminologist, I could find something, but the memories of the weeks spent in the camp are all I've got. But it wasn't a dream, I knew it for sure. My hangover was absolutely real. My feelings and emotions were genuine, not just the stuff of dreams. Therefore, I've been there. I spent a week in Sovietgames pioneer camp with the camp leader and the pioneers. With Elisa. Memories of her made me sigh. It would have been great to live with her. Wait a minute. What's wrong with me? I should be glad I returned home, to the real world. Or shouldn't I? For now, I just couldn't evaluate the situation reasonably. I couldn't understand whether I wanted to stay there or enjoy my long-awaited return. I noticed a 5-ruble coin on the table. I took it and began to toss it up without any purpose, counting the number of heads and tails. A long time ago, maybe even in school, I heard that in an infinite number of coin tosses, the probabilities are not equal to 50% each. Maybe it's because a coin doesn't have a perfect shape and weight, or because of some other reason. However, after some time I counted 7 heads and 71 tails. So the theory of relativity lies. But I'm not the man to judge it. I don't know much about it. I recalled my childhood when I had heard the word tails for the first time. For some reason it always made me think of squirrels. Maybe there is some logic in this. A squirrel does indeed have a tail. Or maybe it's a Russian wordplay that doesn't translate well in English. I don't know. Now this theory seemed strange to me, but at the same time I couldn't find any conclusive evidence to disapprove it. So, does it mean that squirrels come out more frequently than hats? But one must consider that a squirrel has a head as well, so... I yanked on my hair and sighed exhausted. Now is not the time for thinking of such rubbish. On the other hand, what is now the right time for? What can I do? What is under my control? If I hadn't bothered trying to find answers during the week there, what would be the point of thinking now? Maybe I should just try to go back to my ordinary life? The words ordinary life were painful to me. Why did I choose that specific word? I could have said past, former, or something else. I guess because it was what I used to do. That is the most obvious answer. As they say, what you get used to becomes second nature to you. Instantly, all of the last week's events floated before my eyes. Did I really want to stay there so badly? Was just 1 week enough for me to get used to Olga picking on me all the time, Uljana's pranks and joking around, Lisa's cheekiness and mockery? I had no answer to this question, but it's obvious that I already miss it, although I'm sure I'll never return there. Obviously, I can't tell whether the force that brought me there might want to entertain itself again, and again and again. It is possible. But for now, I have what I have, an adventure that I'll remember for the rest of my life. Damn it, how many people get to experience something like that? Even books, even dreams about such things are unthinkable. No. The main thing that it wasn't Dr. Moreau's evil island, but a normal Soviet pioneer camp with normal pioneers. Okay, that is a little bit unlikely, that is true. And its commonness was overlaid by the astonishing origin of my arrival there. Anyway, it wasn't the worst experience of my life. Perhaps this was one of the best. Obviously, it is sad that everything just ended halfway through, but every story has an end. It's good that it has ended that way. Who knows what else could have happened? Really, no decision. Okay. Time passed. The events that took place in the camp now seemed more like a fascinating novel I once read. No, I haven't forgotten them. I could recall them in the finest detail. I remember how as a child I used to lie under a blanket with a flashlight and read a fascinating book about space flight until dawn. Sometimes I was unable to get up to go to school. My parents always used to scold me for that, but with every night approaching, I would carefully turn every page, trying to absorb every minor detail of the story. I had similar feelings about the pioneer camp. Reality, if I can consider it such, now seemed more like a book. I didn't think it was bad at all. In the end, the main thing is to remember, and it is not important whether these memories take the form of a slideshow, photos, video, or audio. Now each bus made me feel both fear and hope. At first I circled around the 410 road without purpose. Several times I fell asleep on the same seat, but nothing happened, not even a trace of something supernatural. As times went by, I stopped these idle trips. Something changed in my life, and it just couldn't do otherwise. A couple of weeks after my return from the camp, I took up my guitar that was lying lonely and gathering dust in a corner. Striking a couple of chords, I remembered Elisa. For me, her image was inseparable from this instrument. At first it didn't work out very well. Maybe I just had no talent for music. I started reading teach-yourself books and watching video lessons. On the other hand, all the effort wasn't a burden anymore. I just played the chords and polished my skill. And as with any kind of activity, including music, practice makes perfect. About half a year later, I realized that I had achieved some results. At least I could now smoothly play parts of my favorite songs. Satisfied with my progress, I put a couple of advertisements on music forums, intending to form my own band. I still had no idea what kind of music I want to play. My tastes varied. I don't know how to pronounce, but you know, from something really heavy to anime soundtracks. At first it seemed impossible for me. Do you know Watamote? I would have to communicate with strangers. And what if we are just too different? And anyway, how do I explain to others what music I want to make? But it all worked out much easier. Yeah, that's true. Life is not that difficult, my friend. The potential candidates turned out to be not so frightening, and our tastes were mostly the same. After all, we shared the same goals, so issues stemming from a lack of understanding could be resolved. And soon we had a band. Suddenly, I discovered my talent as a composer. Having spent entire days and nights on the note editor and sequencer, I started composing okayish things, at least in the opinions of other band members and pals I showed my songs to. Quite soon, we gave our first concert. A dealer's club, not significantly more spacious than my bedroom. 3.5 viewers weren't exactly sober. I was hellishly anxious, and the sound equipment was constantly malfunctioning. But all of that didn't bother me, because I was happy. Since this was just the first step to success. However, it was a long time before we were invited again. With great difficulty, we managed to record 3 tracks and publish them on the internet. The reviews were far from ecstatic, but it didn't bother me much. It was just the beginning. Maybe some considered our music just a leisure activity or a brief fixation, but for me it was serious. After all, it was me who founded the band, and all the music was mine as well. I felt a personal responsibility for the fate of my creation. Every spare moment I spent on improving my performance technique, and after a year, I could already confidently say that I wasn't the worst guitarist in the world. Then some sort of popularity came. We were giving concerts almost every week, and we were finally getting paid. It wasn't important that it was just 500 rubles per man. The fact that our work was in demand and someone was ready to pay for it, even though we were usually a warm-up for other bands, was what mattered. I was sitting before my monitor, torturing the guitar. The date of an upcoming concert was thickly circled on the computer desktop or calendar. The very thought of that gave me goosebumps. It will be the first time we will be headliners. And we'll have an album presentation as well. I wonder how many discs would be sold. Of course, the CD era is already over, but there are still some who appreciate it. And maybe some will buy it just to support the band. I looked at the date once more. Yes, it is exactly a year since I returned from Sovietgames. My smile reflected in the darkened monitor screen. I wonder whether Alisa would like my music if she existed in this world. Don't think so. She preferred Soviet rock classics. But who knows? I played a couple of complicated guitar parts and concluded, with a feeling of satisfaction, that the sound of my guitar surpasses by far that of the Soviet Euro guitars, and my skill has overcome that of the guitarists of the same era. You're not full of yourself, aren't you? I wonder whether I would have achieved all this without those fantastic events. Unlikely. Nothing strange about that. Lots of people rethink their lives after stepping close to the edge. Sure, nothing dangerous happened back then, but a psychological shock is a good substitute for grave danger. I rehearsed my part once more, put the guitar into a case, packed all my stuff and headed to the exit. It was cold outside, just like that day. Slowly I approached the bus stop for the 410. Such a coincidence. I'm going to the club on this very same bus. With a sinking heart I counted down the seconds. Soon the bus arrived. It idly opened its doors and swallowed up a few passengers. It was a winter night just like back then. Cars flashed by outside with their headlights igniting the city as it got ready to sleep. The closer we got to the downtown area, the more people there were in the streets. Some of them were chatting merrily, some were pursuing magnificent boutique windows, and some were hurrying somewhere, paying no attention to anything. This day I had no wish to return to that camp. Any other time maybe, but not today. I must play the concert, the rest can go to hell. I had a clear aim and nothing else mattered. The club was considerably bigger than the one we played our first concert in, but at the moment it was empty. The sound check was going on. I couldn't hear the drums through the monitor loudspeakers, which I desperately tried to tell the sound guy about. Sound tuned, gadgets installed, set lists all prepared. Ready to rock? But it is a special day. We are not doing the warm-up. The other guys are doing the warm-up before our concert. Thus, our entrance is last. As I listened to the first band, I noted that they have a lot of improving to do. On the other hand, we were no better not so long ago. As the time got closer to the start of our performance, my tension grew enormous. Come on, I was literally shaking with anxiety. I decided not to listen to the other band and to wait calmly in the dressing room. Judging by their expressions, my mates were in the same mood. We were silent. Actually, we had nothing to talk about. Our parts were learned and perfected long time ago. Only nervousness could hinder us, but we already have some experience, so everything will be fine. At least I comforted myself with this thought. And now finally, the time has come. Oh, you're the only person with short hair. That is... Oh, but these are real people, aren't they? I mean, of course, it was made into a portrait, but it seems like this is a real concert scene. You know what I mean? I don't remember how we entered the stage and greeted the audience. The beginning sounded a... Did I imagine it, or did the beginning sound a bit like Alisa's song? No, wait, this is a different song, but we already heard that one in the game, didn't we? Ah, well. My consciousness turned on when the first chords of our first song came from the speakers. While sitting in the makeup room, I desperately tried to warm my ice-cold fingers, but now they ran from string to string without the slightest mistake, as if they were charmed. A thought flashed across my mind. Why didn't I still make a single mistake? When I played all these parts at home or during rehearsal, I never thought about it. Everything seemed a matter of course. But now, when I stand in front of an audience, it felt different. Somewhere deep in my mind, there was a thought that soon my finger would slip and... Thank goodness the thinking didn't interfere with my playing. Our performance was nearing the end, and now it was the time for the difficult solo I'd been learning for so long. By that point, my nervousness had vanished, and I played through it perfectly, even better than during the rehearsals. Yay! Finally, our performance was over, and the concert hall burst with applause. I smiled awkwardly, at least I thought so, and bowed several times with the rest of the band. They shouted encore to us. You shout that in English? Huh. Even without them shouting, I would have been glad to play something else, but we'd run out of songs as we were just a newly formed band. Euphoria prevailed in the dressing room as we congratulated and hugged each other. The sounds of opening champagne bottles echoed in the halls. All our discs had been sold, which made me even happier. Finally, I managed to become something too. It's impossible to predict the future of our band, or of the whole affair with music. But one thing was clear. I have finally found something I am interested in, and can dedicate my entire life to. As well as that, I can see that it may be able to make people other than me happy too. I was probably now the happiest man on earth. At least this was surely the best moment of my life. The club is empty, instruments are packed, and I'm waiting for the others so we can go home. Of course. Hey! I turned around and saw a girl standing nearby. Her tone wasn't too polite, but it wasn't hostile either. I liked your performance. Thanks. The darkness of the club prevented me from clearly seeing her face, but I was sure that it was extremely familiar to me. And you... I stepped forward. Exactly. It was Elisa. I froze on the spot, unable to speak. What about me? Nothing. I just thought I had seen you somewhere. I decided not to jump at her with questions about the pioneer camp. At least you don't do this time. After all, it's possible that this girl merely looks like her. Or something like that. Anyway, it was obvious that she was seeing me for the first time. Or at least was pretending to. Well, generally it's true. She peered. My name's Semyon. Forcing an artificial smile, I offered her my hand. I actually know that. How? Read it on the internet. Yes, of course. And you are... Alisa? She replied somewhat confusedly. So I was right. But how right was I? Listen, did you ever go to a pioneer camp as a child? No? Why are you asking? It just seemed that I had met you there. How could you have met me there if I've never been there? She laughed. Yes, all of you musicians are somehow strange. No doubt. Well, I just wanted to say that your music is not too bad. Elisa turned to leave. I felt that I need to do something, say something. Will you come to our next concert? When? To be honest, I had no idea myself. Soon. Yes, maybe. Send me a message. Yeah, sure. We shared our contact details with each other. Then I'll see you again, probably. She waved her hand and went out. Obviously, I have no idea if she was the very same Elisa I met in the camp. Any number of theories were nullified by an absolute absence of facts. But at that moment it was the last thing that concerned me, as I was filled with emotions, both from the concert and meeting Elisa. After all, nothing's preventing me from calling her, and then we'll see. I smiled, shouldered my guitar, and started walking to the 410 bus stop with my mates. Oy, 50 minutes. Jesus, took me longer than I expected it. Hey, pickup guru. Yay. Everyone can do that with a thank you for the good ending. With a guide. Whoops, excuse me. Every story has its end and has a beginning and all that good stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, wasn't the greatest fan, to be honest. You know what? But this is really a problem of the overall game. Why I did not like this too much. This is a problem of the overall game. And this is they had no time to develop a relationship with each other. You know what I mean? Also, it makes it makes not much sense that he somehow got all up for business through Elisa. That this was the message of this route or something. I got that when I was told in the end. I mean, yeah, okay, we kind of learned Semyon is indecisive and he should go forward, but you know, it really didn't grab me. At no point. At no point. I know that there was this dramatic moment and Elisa was crying, but she cried like 5 times before that already. You know? From here on, I rambled for 6 minutes, so I guess I am going to sum it up a bit shorter than I did originally. So, my problems with the Elisa route were are as followed. First, the climax was very, very underwhelming. As mentioned, she cried already so many times. It was nothing that shocked me in any kind or shape. If this was the dramatic explosion of Elisa, okay, this would have been good. But it wasn't. So, what can you do? Also, they had no time to develop any kind of relationship. I think I already mentioned that as well. That is my next problem. Then, overall, Semyon was again too stupid in this route. He got nothing. This went after a few times. It went really on one's nerve, you know? What else? Oh yeah, they did nothing with the love triangle, even though there was potential, so that is sad. I hope they do that in the Lena route. That would be actually good. And all in all, you know, quite a bit stuff went a little bit on my nerves. As mentioned, Semyon being stupid, Alisa being... Alisa should have realized that Semyon is stupid, so why didn't she just come forward, you know? Awkward teenager... Okay, I get it. Awkward teenager, yeah. But still, they are 17, they're not 12. For real. They can act at least a little bit more adult-like. There were a few more problems I have or had, but I can't recall them right now, so if I remember that, I'll do that in the beginning of the next episode. But overall, it was at least better than the Slavia route, I have to say that. Just because it at least fit the character a bit, you know? The Slavia route was just random bull. This at least had Alisa's character was not totally unbelievable. It didn't came out of nowhere. What she did and how she behaved and so on and so on. It may have went on my nerves, but at least it was not unbelievable. While Slavia's route, it was just like, oh no, now Slavia's waiting for a prince in shining armor. What? You know what I mean? So it was at least better than the Slavia route, but it was not good. Sorry. So, thank you everybody for watching. Come back for the next part. I think in the next episode we'll do the bad Semyon ending. And after that we go to Lena, then to Miku, and then to the special ending. So, I'll see you then. Bye bye.